So I've been using the new MacBook Air over the past week now. I purposely bought the base model, primarily because that's the model that most people are going to be buying. I wanted to see what it would be like switching to this over my MacBook Pro, which is here, the M4 Max MacBook Pro. This MacBook Pro actually cost me $4,000, over $4,000. Yeah, this costs $1,000. This has the M4 Max chip in it, and it also has 36 gigabytes of unified memory. Big jump there between the two, but I just wanted to see what the M4 MacBook Air would be like and whether it could handle most of my workload. Considering this MacBook Air is a fourth of the price, it has been very interesting. I also have the silver version here. Now that the space gray has gone and there is no space black, I think the silver looks best. And here's a shot comparing the space black, space gray and silver for anyone interested. What is surprising with this MacBook Pro is that Apple have lowered the price. Now let me say that again. Apple have lowered the price of a product, of a new product. Not something that Apple are known for whatsoever. And not only have they lowered the price, they have also given you more for the money. You now have 16 gigabytes of unified memory compared to the 8 gigabytes in previous models. The design itself is unchanged, which I think is a good thing. This form factor is the best. It's super thin, light, and feels great. It always surprises me how thin the MacBook Airs are when I use them. It makes it ideal for traveling. Apple have completely nailed the design here. I also much prefer the 13-inch size over the 15-inch size, and that's purely down to personal preference. I've always preferred smaller laptops. I think to myself it would be even better if we saw a 12-inch version, but hey, 13 inches I think is a great size. The 15-inch model is also $200 more. Now, I don't think it's worth $200 more, but it does also have 2 more GPU cores, and if you really want that 15-inch, maybe it might be worth it for you. Alongside this MacBook Air, I've also been using this new monitor from ASUS, who are also sponsoring this video. When I first unboxed it, I was actually really impressed by the design of this thing. It's not like other monitors. You can tell ASUS have spent time designing this monitor, and it looks fantastic. The back in particular just looks amazing. It also comes with a great stand that offers a ton of movement. You have tilt, height, and rotating options. This is part of ASUS's ProArt lineup, so they provide a bunch of color accuracy test charts in the box to show that it's been thoroughly tested. They specifically compare it to other much higher end production monitors, which can be in the 5-figure price range. This isn't meant to be compared to cheaper OLED monitors due to how it's tuned. It's designed for anyone who does content creation, whether you're a filmmaker, photographer, 3D artist, or a designer. If you want super top-notch color accuracy, this is a monitor for it. It's a 31.5-inch QD OLED monitor that's 4K in resolution, and it also does up to 240 Hz. And of course, viewing any content on it is sublime. OLEDs have always been amazing in this area. It has Thunderbolt 4 built in, so you can connect a MacBook with one cable and daisy chain other Thunderbolt accessories like another monitor. The Thunderbolt port also provides up to 96 watts of power. I was able to get 240 Hz right out of the box with the MacBook Air, and it is buttery smooth. It's perfect for anyone who's looking for a high quality OLED monitor for their Mac, which also has amazing color accuracy. So make sure to check it out. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. This MacBook Air also has the new M4 chip in it, and as most people will know, the M series of chips for Apple have just been a revelation. You get top-notch performance for a lot less power and a lot less heat. So it's made for some very powerful chips that can go in very compact laptops. This specifically has the base tier M4 chip, which has a 10-core CPU and an 8-core GPU. I've been using this machine just like how I'd use my MacBook Pro. I've not hidden anything away from it. And let me tell you, I have been a lot more impressed than I thought I would be. I wasn't expecting this to be nearly as good as my MacBook Pro when it comes to a lot of things. It handles all of the standard stuff extremely well, as you'd expect. I've been working away in apps like Figma for all of my design work, and I feel like this is quite basic now. I think most people are going to be fine using something like Figma, especially if you have heavy Figma files. Now that you have the upgraded unified memory of 16 gigabytes, if you have heavy Figma files with lots of different screens, you shouldn't have an issue. Lightroom editing as well has been no issues. I've been editing photos very, very fast and snappy, being able to go through my library quickly, copy and paste edits and stuff. It's been very, very smooth. So here I am editing a video. This is for my sort of favorite Mac apps I can't live without. I have 2 clips here. I have a screen recording and I have the A-roll of myself. So if we hover over it, we can see A-roll of myself, and I also have the screen recording, and I've got them set up as a multicam clip so that I can switch between the two, so that, you know, when I'm demoing the app, you can see me in the corner, and obviously I'm taking up, I have the screen recording sort of main focus of the screen. When I, for example, let's have a look at this one. So right now I have it set to better performance, and with better performance, it does play fairly smoothly. It can jitter sometimes. It's okay right now, but that's at better performance. If I go to better quality and I start playing, I mean, it seems to be doing fine right now, but what would happen is, it's not showing right now. I think it's because Final Cut Pro has done the background rendering. If you're in the middle of an edit and you have two clips like this, two heavy clips, because I'm using 10-bit S-Log footage, quite heavy footage, which is also compressed. Thankfully, the Mac has, you know, the media engines and whatever else, but it is an Air, it's not Pro, so it doesn't have as many media engines. For doing edits like this, it works. It's not perfect. There are sometimes dropped frames. It can be a bit slow when it comes to playback. I mean, right now though, it's running smoothly. I think, like I said, it's because it's done a lot of the background rendering. I'm editing this video right now and there's a lot going on. Like, this is actually one of my more complex videos. My review videos are technically a bit easier, but for stuff like this where you have multicams, you have different cameras and you're going in and out with effects, and you have overlays where you have two clips on top of each other, it has to show both the clips, which means it's playing both clips at the same time. It can be a bit heavier on the chip, but it works. I think if you're someone who's interested in doing basic video editing, maybe you're shooting stuff with an iPhone or a sort of Insta360 or whatever it is, you know, one of those like handheld gimbal cameras, you are not going to have any issues here with the M4 chip. Like, you will not have any issues whatsoever, and that's what's so impressive to me. The only downside with a chip like this, which is completely to be expected by the way, is when it comes to rendering video in something like Final Cut Pro. When I was rendering videos, the sort of same videos that I would edit on my MacBook Pro, the render times would be double, sometimes triple the time. So that can really add on a lot of time if you're rendering a lot of videos, especially for someone like me, where I'm rendering multiple videos a week. I'm sometimes having to re-render things because I'm having to go back and edit something. I'm sometimes having to render videos for clients and stuff very quickly as well. Time for me is very, very valuable. So that's really one of the downsides of the M4 chip. But again, it wasn't really designed for that. So it's still an amazing chip for everything that it can do. If you're someone who's just getting started with content creation, maybe you're just making the odd video here and there, maybe you're doing some 3D rendering, some 3D editing, whatever it might be, AI stuff, I think this is going to be completely fine just to start out with. Maybe down the line you can consider something like a Pro, but for how much this can do, the M4 chip can do, I've genuinely been very impressed. As expected, battery life is fantastic. Apple have really nailed the sort of battery life when it comes to these laptops now. I don't think most people need to worry, unless they're doing super, super heavy stuff. Maybe you're spending like the whole day video editing, then yeah, you might need to connect it to a charger. But if you're doing sort of admin work and stuff like that, web browsing, watching videos, it is going to last you the whole day, no problem. Now let's go through some downsides and improvements that I think could be made to the MacBook Air. First up is the connectivity. I wish it had an extra Thunderbolt port. So we have two Thunderbolt ports and the charger, which is nice. It's nice having the MagSafe charger, but we know with the Mac Mini, for example, that you can have an extra Thunderbolt port with the base M4 chip. And the Mac Mini also has two extra USB-C ports. So that's 5 ports in total. It would have been nice to maybe see an extra Thunderbolt port on this side specifically, because everything is on this side. I kind of feel like it just makes it quite limiting when you're connecting stuff, because you've got to make sure they have enough length on the cable or whatever. It would have been nice to have another Thunderbolt port on this side, or even a USB-C port. The display on this is, I think, okay, actually, that's a disservice. I think actually it's better than okay. It's actually a really good display. However, it isn't an OLED, it isn't a mini LED, it's just a standard LCD display. It would be nice to see a mini LED or OLED at some point, because they are getting cheaper and easier to sort of put in machines like this. So maybe in the future we get something like that. Also, you're limited to 60 Hertz. Now the 60 Hertz thing, that I feel like a lot of people do complain about, but I really do think 60 Hertz for most people who are buying this machine, 60 Hertz, they probably don't even notice the difference between 60 Hertz and 120 Hertz. 60 Hertz is usually enough for them. So that I don't think is as important. It would just be nice to have mini LED or OLED. And then finally is the storage. You have 256 gigabytes of storage with the base model. So because of that, I've been using it with an external SSD connected up to it, I'd say 80% of the time. I feel like I'm an edge case though, because obviously I'm editing lots of photos and videos and stuff. I need a hard drive to edit off. It's just not going to be enough storage. But that's not even the issue, I think. I think it'd be great upgrading it to 512 or 1 terabyte. The problem is the pricing for the upgrade. It's $200 each time. So to upgrade from 256 gigabytes of storage to 512 gigabytes of storage, where you're only adding 256 gigabytes of storage here, it's an extra $200. I think that is ridiculous. Like, I think that is just so overpriced for what it is. I have it written down here, for $140, you can get a Samsung T7 2TB external drive for $140. To upgrade to 2TB on the MacBook Air, it's going to cost you $800. How does that make any sense? The two biggest changes though, and the two changes that I think make the most significant amount of difference, is the M4 chip and that upgraded unified memory. Going from 8GB to 16GB of unified memory is going to make a world of a difference. It's made a world of a difference for me. When I've been using apps, when I've had so many different apps open on this machine, when I've had Final Cut Pro, Lightroom, Arc, Slack, Notion, all open at the same time, I've had no issues. It's ran so smoothly because of that doubled memory. I think that's where the MacBook Air is really good value. If you're willing to put up with a few downsides I mentioned, this is definitely the best value MacBook you can get right now. Make sure to check out my other video where I did a MacBook buying guide where you can see all of the MacBooks compared, what I think is worth the money, what I think isn't worth the money. Make sure to check that out. And I also have a video on the must-have apps if you have a Mac. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.